Scam and finance, evolution, and Mei Kwong, point number 1, rich. Might end up with your body at the bottom of the sea. The only female criminal wanted by the FBI? Ruja Ignatova, former queen and owner of the OneCoin empire. How did she manage to scam more than 3 million investors, causing damages of over $100 billion? Was it a cult, or was it some kind of elaborate scam that made people fall so deeply in love and obsessed that they poured all their money in? This is a video everyone really needs to watch, so you won't end up being a victim yourself. Does my hair look extra nice in this video or what? Because this video is sponsored by Biowoman Magic Hair Serum. And don't forget to support the Psy Money Monster channel by simply hitting the subscribe button. Just click it for me so we can meet again when the next video comes out. Now, let's dive into the story of the queen of the OneCoin empire. Ruja Ignatova was born in a poor town in Bulgaria in 1980. She was a very smart kid and set her sights on becoming a millionaire, $1 million to be exact, by the time she turned 30. Thanks to her intelligence, she earned a scholarship to a top university in Germany, then went on to get a PhD in law from Oxford University. After graduating, she landed a great job at McKinsey, one of the world's leading consulting firms, and got to work with politicians, famous business people, celebrities, and all sorts of high-profile figures. She kept working, but then realized, wait, she was already 31 years old. She still wasn't a millionaire yet, even though she had promised herself she'd be one by 30. Now she was 31, already late. What should she do? So she just kept going, taking her time until 2013. That was when Bitcoin started to take off and get really popular. And since Bluejaw already had a background in finance and all that, right? She started looking into Bitcoin because she was curious, like, what is this crypto coin? Why is it suddenly so hot? Once Ruja started studying Bitcoin, she got invited to speak at various seminars across Europe. She went around giving talks about crypto to different audiences. Then, at one of these events, Ruja met a man named Sebastian Greenwood. Sebastian asked Ruja if she knew about multi-level marketing, or MLM. In simple Thai, that's basically direct sales. Did she know about that? That was Sebastian's question. This was actually the starting point of one of the biggest financial crimes in the world. But let me say first that not all direct sales are bad. There are good direct sales businesses out there, but there are certain conditions. Let me explain first how direct sales actually generate income. The first way is through sales, right? For every order, you get a commission. The second way is when you recruit someone else to sell. When you bring in a downline, you also get a commission from the people you recruit. And the third way is similar to the previous ones. If the people you recruit go on to recruit even more people, the person at the top of the line will get commissions from everyone in that entire line. That means the person at the very top of the direct sales structure is the one who makes the most money, right? But whether direct sales are legitimate or not, good or bad, really depends on what's being sold. There has to be a good quality product for it to be considered good direct sales. Now, going back to Ruja, who is an expert in finance and cryptocurrency, and combining that with Sebastian, who is an expert in MLM or direct sales, these two teamed up and joined forces to create a project called OneCoin. So the target group for OneCoin was people who didn't necessarily need to know a lot about cryptocurrency but wanted to get rich. And there are probably a lot of people like that, right? So the two of them started the project. As soon as they kicked things off, the first problem they ran into was looking at each other and asking, hey, if we're going to create a crypto project, do you know how to build a blockchain? Nope, I don't know how. Do you? Nope, I don't know either. So what should we do? If you can't do it and I can't do it either. Well then, let's just not have a blockchain at all. But if we don't have a blockchain, how are we going to record transactions? Excel spreadsheets, of course we can use them. And actually, this method has some advantages over blockchain, let me tell you. With Excel spreadsheets, you can set your own prices. Supply and demand don't matter at all. Or, to put it simply, you can set the prices however you want, which means you can cheat, you know? As soon as they finished coming up with the idea, the two of them immediately registered companies, one in Dubai and one in Bulgaria. Then they set the total supply of OneCoin tokens at 2,100 coins and launched a campaign claiming that OneCoin was the real Bitcoin killer. As for the MLM part, which means direct selling, they needed something to sell, right? So the two of them thought, what should we sell? Let's sell OneCoin tokens. Really? Well, that wouldn't work. It seems too risky, right? Because OneCoin is digital, it's intangible, and they might get investigated or something like that. So what should they do? Got it. How about at the end of the course? Would online be good? So these two people called this thing an education package. It's a package that includes financial and investment knowledge documents in PDF format. So they just package it up and sell it. The education package from OneCoin, for example, when you buy the package, you get free tokens, and those tokens can be exchanged for OneCoin coins. The bigger or more expensive the package you buy, the more tokens you get. Now, OneCoin does actually sell education packages. They're online lessons. But honestly, their online lessons aren't really high quality. Some of it is copied from elsewhere, or it's just free information from the internet that they've repackaged. They bundle everything together into a package and sell it. In direct sales, you need to have a product, right? And it has to be a good quality product too. But with OneCoin's products, okay, they have products, but the quality is kind of questionable, kind of gray area. I'm not even sure if this counts as legitimate direct sales. But it turns out, yeah, they actually sold really well. Lots of people were interested in becoming sales agents, selling the application packages for OneCoin because they paid commissions. The commissions were huge, ranging from 10% all the way up to 60%. And what made OneCoin grow so fast, so aggressively, and stand out way more than other MLMs or any other kind of direct sales was, do you know why? Because not only did they pay really high commissions, but the tokens you got, which were OneCoins, kept increasing in value. So the people who became sales agents, the ones who spread the word, they were grinning from ear to ear, convinced they were going to be rich. After that, Ruja's job was to build credibility. So she thought, what should I do? Let's get into Forbes. And honestly, getting into Forbes wasn't that hard for Ruja. She just bought an ad to get featured in Forbes. Not on the front page or anything, but on one of the inside pages. But it was Forbes Bulgaria, so people couldn't really read the Bulgarian text to see that. This page was just an ad, but most people who saw Ruja on the cover of Forbes just thought, wow, she made it into Forbes. She must be a big deal. But honestly, plenty of people who've been on the cover of Forbes have ended up in jail. And Ruja would also say things like, if you compare Bitcoin to OneCoin, nobody knows who created Bitcoin. It's anonymous. Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that is, just disappeared. But with OneCoin, it's a woman who's real, who has a face, who has credentials, who graduated from top universities. She has a PhD from Oxford, you know? And if you compare another thing, Bitcoin is decentralized. People trade anonymously, so it's not surprising that criminals use Bitcoin. But OneCoin is centralized. We manage it ourselves. We control it ourselves, so it's safe. Safe? Because everything is in a spreadsheet. And the way they make people want to buy OneCoin isn't hard at all. They make people feel regret, but then tell them not to feel bad. They tell stories about Bitcoin, like, if you had known about Bitcoin and bought it back when it was super cheap, by now you'd all be millionaires. But I'm telling you, you don't have to feel bad or regret it because they say that OneCoin is just like the opportunity people had at the beginning of Bitcoin. And I mean, Ruja would say, let me tell you, OneCoin is going to be even bigger than Bitcoin. As soon as people heard that, they were like, boom, it really started to hit home. People started buying into the vision. Then, in 2014, Ruja began promising investors that OneCoin would be listed as a public coin on a public exchange. She said the tokens you received as OneCoin would soon be exchangeable for actual real-world currency. From that point on, the OneCoin education packages started selling like crazy, especially from 2014 onward. The application packages were selling in the millions of dollars. And then, in 2015, OneCoin actually launched its own exchange. The exchange was called XCoinX, but it was a private exchange owned by OneCoin, not a public exchange, not like Coinbase or Binance. Still, it functioned as an exchange, meaning you could actually trade your OneCoin for real money. But they only allowed you to exchange just 1.5% of your total OneCoin holdings for real money. Honestly, if you heard that condition, you'd probably be like, wait, hold on, why? Why can you only withdraw 1.5%? But then again, back then in 2015, nobody questioned it. All the customers were fine with only being able to withdraw 1.5%. Like, why would we rush to cash out? Because OneCoin seemed to be growing so fast. The sales numbers for OneCoin, for example, in March, they sold 60 million, and the next month in April, they sold 85 million already. The price of OneCoin, which was 54 cents in 2014, by 2015 had gone up to $1.08. They had already received the initial coins, and Ruja kept promising investors that OneCoin would soon be listed on a public exchange. She said that once that happened, if you held onto your coins and the price went up, you could exchange them for real money, however much you wanted, no problem. By February 10th, 2015, the price of OneCoin had increased to $2.50 per coin. By February 11th, 2015, OneCoin was able to achieve sales of over $1 billion. And as the price of OneCoin kept rising, investors poured in even more money and with even greater enthusiasm. Now, when it started selling like crazy, right, a problem came up. The problem was that when you bring in a ton of money, like way too much, the expenses also get really high. That's because OneCoin's income came from having sales agents, right? And those agents had to be paid commissions. At that time, there were sales agents in over 100 countries around the world. And OneCoin had to pay out commissions, which came to about $10 million a month. At that time, there were so many transactions and money transfers going on that the banks started to get suspicious. They wondered, hey, what kind of business is OneCoin running to be moving this much money? It got to the point where, on one occasion, a bank actually froze $50 million of OneCoin's funds. When that happened, Ruja had to figure out how to make sure they had enough reserve money to keep paying out. So Ruja started thinking about what to do next. She went to ask for help from a member of the Saudi royal family, named the Saudi Royal Sheikh. Ruja asked the Sheikh to give her a hardware wallet containing a total of 230,000 bitcoins. In exchange, she would give him OneCoin tokens and offer him a partnership, basically a stake in the company in Dubai. The Sheikh agreed to the deal, and then he gave the hardware wallet with 230,000 bitcoins to Ruja. Besides that, Ruja also found someone else to help her, a banker named Gilbert Armenta. Ruja and Gilbert were very close, so close that they became lovers. She was basically cheating on her husband with Gilbert, and this will become an issue later. Gilbert helped Ruja with money laundering, setting up various funds and accounts to separate Ruja's money in a way that, yeah, the accounts were split up, each with hundreds of millions, across 4 accounts, all separated into different tax haven countries, like the Cayman Islands and such. After that, OneCoin could transfer money easily, conveniently, without worrying about getting their funds frozen anymore. But the problems from being so successful weren't over yet. Another, even bigger problem from their booming sales was that they ran out of OneCoins to sell. By the end of 2015, believe it or not, OneCoin was selling so well that the 2,100 coins were almost gone. At that point, Ruja had no choice about what to do, because if they ran out of coins, they'd have to stop selling. The problem was that the commissions alone were over $10 million a month. Where was she going to get the money to pay the members? So she had to figure out a way to increase the number of coins. But the issue was, Ruja had always said that OneCoin would only ever have a supply of 2.1 billion coins, and there would never be more. If she increased the supply, it would seriously damage OneCoin's credibility. So if there were investors who thought, hey, OneCoin is a crypto project, so it must have a blockchain, right? If it has a blockchain, then the supply should have been set from the start. If it's 2.1 billion coins, then that's all there should ever be. There can't be more than that. Hold on, calm down. The thing is, OneCoin never actually had a blockchain because OneCoin claimed that no blockchain, no worries. So they could just create and sell as many OneCoins as they wanted. And then Ruja came up with the idea to mint even more OneCoins to a total supply of 120 billion coins. And when Ruja decided to break every established economic rule and increase the number of OneCoins from the initially promised and strictly capped 2.1 billion, she had to carefully devise a strategic way to announce it in a manner that was incredibly bold, grand, impressive, and truly spectacular. If she just announced it, people would be like, huh? That wouldn't work. The announcement had to turn those huhs into cheers. If you're going to break big news, it has to be epic and powerful. By the way, this clip is sponsored by Biowoman Magic Hair Serum in the pink bottle. It's a nourishing treatment for dry, damaged hair. Works even if your hair has been chemically straightened, permed, or dyed. The main ingredient is grapeseed extract, which is grape, which adds moisture to your hair. No matter what kind of chemical treatment, straightening, dyeing, you name it, this can handle it all. Here, let me show you how to use it. Just pour some out and smooth it onto your hair. Normally, I use it when my hair is damp, apply it before styling, and it protects against heat while also nourishing your hair. But today, since they hired me to demonstrate, I'm going to show off my hair for you all, and I promise you won't be disappointed because I use Biowoman. My hair flips beautifully. And then in 2016, OneCoin actually went ahead and rented out Wembley Stadium to launch Dr. Ruja with a massive high-energy production. Lights, sound, fireworks, the whole 9 yards. It was all so incredibly extravagant, and they announced we're going to launch a new blockchain with another 120 billion new coins. Google it every day, 120 billion coins. And what really got the whole hall cheering was when Ruja announced that they were increasing the number of coins. But the market price of the asset would remain completely unchanged and stable, while every single user's digital coin wallet would suddenly have exactly twice the number of coins they previously held. Double the coins in your account. Let's hear it. Honestly, according to economic principles, when you increase the supply, the price should drop. If you increase it this much, the price should really crash. But on October 2nd, 2001, 6 days after the coin split, everyone's OneCoin wallets had doubled coins. And the important thing is, not only did the price of OneCoin not drop, it actually went up. OneCoin was booming like crazy. It could give a 300% return in just a few months. Of course, people were suspicious, but not the ones who were already in OneCoin. The people who were suspicious were actually from a website called BHLM.com. BHLM.com worked really hard to expose OneCoin, trying to prevent more people from falling victim. They boldly claimed that OneCoin was a Ponzi scheme, that OneCoin didn't have a blockchain. But at that time, no one inside OneCoin believed it. And they called BIMLM.com, they were called haters. But then when 2016 came around, what OneCoin was doing started to smell fishy. And at that time, it turned out that Ruja was also pregnant. Along with Gilbert, right? And during that time, when what Ruja was doing started to become known among the employees, once they found out, they started quitting. So Ruja began to feel like she couldn't trust anyone. She started thinking up plans like, hey, what should I do now? Because she's smart, she started planning ahead. Or maybe what she was doing was about to end, so she needed a way out. So she invited her younger brother, Konstantin, to work for her as her personal assistant. At that time, Konstantin wasn't rich. He just had a regular job and didn't care about OneCoin at all. But when she asked him, Konstantin decided to do it because he knew Ruja had a ton of money, right? But Konstantin had no idea that didn't invite him to work to help her with her finances or anything like that. She brought Konstantin in to prepare for Konstantin to be the scapegoat. At that time, OneCoin was getting a lot of criticism. When there was the retirenmlm.com thing, people started criticizing, right? Then more people began to investigate and criticism started to pile up. So Ruja thought she had to find a way out. What should she do? Or they were criticized for not having a blockchain, so should they make a blockchain? If they could actually create a real blockchain, it would basically be off the hook for every accusation, right? So on September 2nd, 2016, OneCoin sent a message via LinkedIn to Bjorn Birke, who was an expert in converting SQL databases, or to put it simply, Excel spreadsheets, into blockchains. OneCoin offered Bjorn a huge salary, $270,000 per month, plus a luxury apartment. But when Bjorn looked at the OneCoin project, he was really confused. Like, what kind of crypto project makes billions of dollars in revenue but doesn't even have a blockchain? Bjorn was sitting there thinking, like, there are so many transactions, so much money, but how are you supposed to take all that data from the database and stick it onto a blockchain? How could you possibly do that? There's just no way to do it properly, because Bjorn said, that so-called OneCoin isn't even a real crypto coin. OneCoin crypto never actually existed. Everything that happened was just transactions, that's all. So I decided not to take the job with OneCoin. More importantly, I agreed to give an interview with BHMM.com to share the whole story. Then, in 2017, a terrifyingly short message appeared on OneCoin's exchange website. The message said, under maintenance. At first, people didn't really panic because when they saw the message saying under maintenance, they just thought it was a technical issue. But as the maintenance dragged on from days into weeks, people started to get worried. They tried calling OneCoin's headquarters, but it turned out that no one was answering the phones there anymore. At that time, the price of OneCoin had reached $8.50 per coin, which was its all-time high, and the price of OneCoin was that strong, $8.50 per coin. Ruja said they couldn't keep up with the payouts anymore. Even though OneCoin's exchange had a rule that you couldn't withdraw more than 1.5% of your OneCoin holdings or something like that, once it hit $5, they just couldn't pay out. Ruja said it wasn't okay because honestly, she never planned for OneCoin to get this big. From day one up to that point, OneCoin had already generated a total revenue of over 3 billion euros. All of this, as far as I know, made people start to get suspicious, start to notice, like, hey, is OneCoin a Ponzi scheme? Plus, it didn't even have a blockchain or anything. But believe it or not, none of this was actually the main reason OneCoin collapsed. The real turning point that brought OneCoin down was the relationship between Ruja and Gilbert. Do you remember when I said they met, got close, and ended up having an affair? Well, in 2017, Ruja and Gilbert started talking about divorcing their spouses so they could get married to each other. But Gilbert, the guy, started stalling, coming up with all sorts of excuses and reasons to delay. And with Ruja's woman's intuition, she started to feel like something was off, that things were getting weird. And Gilbert? He just kept stalling like that, so she started to get suspicious. Was Gilbert just dating her to scam her out of money? Since Ruja was wealthy, she decided to hire a private investigator. This investigator actually rented an apartment right below Gilbert's room and even planted a listening device to eavesdrop. And it was super obvious because what they got from the bug was a conversation where Gilbert was talking to his own wife, admitting that he was dating Ruja just to get her money. This made Ruja furious, but there was something else that made her scared. So scared, she couldn't even sleep. It was what she heard about Gilbert being targeted by the FBI. He was under investigation, and the charges the FBI was looking into were extortion and money laundering. Honestly, these charges had nothing to do with OneCoin. But Ruja was scared because she knew that if the FBI started investigating, they'd search his computer. And if the police searched Gilbert's computer, they'd probably find some kind of OneCoin document showing evidence of money laundering or something shady. After that, Gilbert ended up getting arrested by the FBI. I don't know exactly when he got arrested, but after the FBI caught him, Gilbert probably made some kind of deal with them, like, don't punish me just yet, because if you don't send me to jail, I've got some really valuable information for you. And what Gilbert gave the police was basically selling out Ruja. He told the police that if they didn't arrest him, he would give them information about OneCoin. And that information was Gilbert was talking on the phone with Ruja, and from that point on, the FBI would be able to listen in. At that time, Ruja was in a pretty bad mental state because everyone already knew that her project was shady and it was about to come to an end. So whenever she talked to anyone, it was usually Gilbert, her lover. Even then, Ruja still seemed to care about Gilbert. She told him, "Hey, when we talk on the phone these days, be careful of the FBI. They might be wiretapping our calls, something like that." But Ruja had no idea that the person who was worried about her, Gilbert, told Q to be careful of the FBI. But Gilbert was actually sitting right next to the FBI, listening in loud and clear. Still, Ruja wasn't exactly naive, right? She'd always been smart and had her own plans all set. And on October 25th, 2017, Ruja took an early morning flight from Sofia to Athens. That was the last time anyone was able to contact her. And then the OneCoin project finally came to an end, because on January 8th, 2018, the police raided the OneCoin headquarters in Bulgaria with an arrest warrant. Authorities had proven that OneCoin had no blockchain, no coins, and not a single cent left in its accounts. The damage caused by OneCoin was estimated at around $100 billion, with more than 3.5 million victims. And of course, there had to be people who... That person was Konstantin, Ruja's younger brother, who had been set up from the very beginning to take the fall. And he really did become the scapegoat, receiving a prison sentence of 20 years. As for Sebastian, the one who introduced Ruja to MLM, or multi-level marketing, he also got 20 years in prison, along with a $300 million fine. As for Ruja, the queen of OneCoin, who was once dubbed the Bitcoin killer, she just became a Bitcoin fugitive because she disappeared along with a Bitcoin hardware wallet that contained Bitcoins from Roy Saudi. Remember? He once gave her 230,000 Bitcoins. Back then, they were worth $50 million, but now their value has skyrocketed to $20 billion. This has made Ruja one of the FBI's top 10 most wanted criminals, and the bounty on her head is up to $5 million. But right now, no one is really sure whether Ruja is living a comfortable life somewhere, having undergone cosmetic surgery to change her appearance and hiding out somewhere in the world, or if she might have been caught by the mafia she scammed out of so much money and is now buried under the cold Mediterranean Sea. Or maybe she's already gone.